My son's in prison for something horrific he did at school, but still insists he did the right thing. The visitation room is cold. It's a stark, blank space where a glass wall separates us from the inmates, and the only physical connection between a mother and her son happens through a gray telephone. I sit on a hard plastic chair and wait for Adam to come in. I don't even know what I'm supposed to feel. Since he did what he did 2 weeks ago, it's like my life has been put on pause and my body's been stuck in a state of numbness. I haven't seen him yet. I watch him enter through the door, head down, the prison uniform clearly hanging off his 145-pound frame. A tall, intimidating officer escorts him to the seat and stands guard behind him. Through the glass, I stare at him, but he doesn't look up right away. He's ashamed. A mother knows. We both pick up the phones. "Hi, son," I begin, keeping my voice neutral. "How are they treating you here?" "It's okay, Mom," he replies. "I probably deserve it." His answer catches me off guard, and we sit in silence for a few moments. "I don't understand why you did it," I say, my control slipping as tears begin to well up in my eyes. "But I'll always love you. You're still my son." As soon as I finish speaking, he drops the phone, buries his head in his hands, and begins to sob uncontrollably, like he did when he was 10. Then he picks the phone up again. "Those kids I killed at school, Mom," he begins. "You have to understand, they deserved it. They needed to be taken out the way they were." The officer behind him overhears the conversation and keeps a sharp eye on Adam. "If they were bullying you, son, that's terrible," I tell him. "But that doesn't mean they deserved to die, and they weren't bullying me," he yells, cutting me off, his outburst drawing the attention of nearby inmates and visitors. The guard steps in, grabbing him by the shoulder. "That's enough, Adam. Time to go." "Mom," he whispers through the line, before he is dragged out of the room. "You need to look into the glove compartment." I walk out of the room, dazed. Was my son paranoid? Hallucinating? I storm out of the facility and get in my car. The long drive back to the city is a blur. My mind spins. How didn't I see this? How could I not have known what he could do? As a single mom, always tired from work, he just seemed like a quiet, geeky teen. What snaps me back to reality is noticing a car that has been behind me since I left the prison. A black vehicle driven by a clean-shaven, military-looking man in dark glasses follows me. He looks eerily familiar to the guard from the visitation room. I take several random turns, and he stays on my tail. I pull into my neighborhood store. He parks at a distance, still in view. I rush in, grab what I need, and get in line, still trying to make sense of what the hell is happening. Why is he following me? They already have Adam. As I wait in line, I hear someone call my name from behind, and I jump in fright. It's not the man from the car, but I almost wish it were. It's a pale woman with a blank expression, Jenna, the mother of one of the 3 kids Adam killed at the school shooting. I freeze. "Hi, Claire," she says. It takes me a second. "Hi, Jenna. How are you?" "Not very good," she replies, not bitterly, just honestly. I flinch. "Hey, I just want to say I'm really sorry for your loss," I begin. "What my son did was unforgivable, and Claire, please," she cuts in. "This isn't your fault. We both lost our sons that day." She takes my hand in hers. "From one mother to another," she tells me, leaning in. "We need to help each other." Then she hugs me, so tightly I nearly collapse into tears. No one had shown me that kind of compassion until now. I leave the store with new strength, ready to go straight to that car and confront the man who had been following me, but he's gone. Thank God. I get in my car, and as I'm ready to get home, I remember Adam's words, and I check the glove compartment. There's nothing unusual in there except for a small metallic device, a flash drive. Back home, I go straight to my laptop. It's already dark. I know exactly why Adam would have hidden the USB drive in the car. His room, computers, phone, and even video game were all seized and searched the day after the events. Even my own laptop was taken. I had to get a new one from work. What I don't know is what he needed to hide. My hands shake as I plug it in and open a folder full of images. They're photos of the 3 kids who died, mostly candid shots, capturing them in normal moments at school. The same 3 always appeared, 2 boys and 1 girl. The pictures, likely taken on Adam's phone, showed them eating lunch, walking home, studying at the library. Just ordinary stuff. Was Adam stalking them? They didn't look like bullies. Then the photos start to get weird. One of the boys, kissing a girl, someone else, not from the 3, behind the football field, holding hands. Private. Then, suddenly, one sat in a bleak concrete space. The 3 kids, soaked in blood, standing over what looked like the girl from before, dead. Her body ripped to pieces on the floor. There was something strange in their eyes. In the photos, they were solid white. I had to adjust in my chair, rattle. Then more. The trio luring people. A janitor, an old woman, another child. The last pictures in the folder showed them emerging from an alley, shirts stained red, those blank, glowing eyes again. The photos were clearly taken in hiding. I nearly threw up. Was this what Adam meant? What are these kids and what were they doing? That's when I heard the noise of my front door opening. Is someone there? I called out from my room. Only Adam and I lived here. I had no idea who it could be. I get no answer, and the thought that it might be the man in the black car sent a chill down my spine. I walked slowly down the hallway. I just called the police, so whoever you are, leave now, I shouted, bluffing. My phone was in the kitchen. When I reached the hallway, I saw a figure standing still at the front door. It was Jenna, the mother of one of Adam's victims, one of the kids in the photos. Jenna, I asked, confused. Do you need something? Her face was blank, robotic, emotionless. She took a few steps toward me. I don't know what Adam told you or what he left behind as evidence, she said, voice flat. But I can't let you keep it. Then her eyes turned white, just like the 3 kids in the picture. And my body, desperate to run, couldn't move. It just stood there, every muscle in me locked tight in the same position it was when her eyes changed. Even my eyelids stopped working. I couldn't blink. I felt like a statue, except for my heartbeat, which had gone completely wild. Jenna walked slowly, savoring my frozen panic. Don't even try, Claire, she said with a grin, now just 5 feet away. Humans are such pathetic creatures. She raised her hands, and her fingers began to shift, turning into blades, thick and gleaming like solid steel. That's when I heard the gunshots. Multiple and quick. If I could, I would have closed my eyes shut, but I saw Jenna collapse in front of me, riddled with bullets. The man from the black car, the same guard who had stood with Adam, was behind her, holding a gun, his eyes locked on her body. He must have fired half a dozen rounds because Jenna was lying in a pool of blood. He stepped closer, still aiming at her head. Don't do this, please. I'll stay still, she begged, but he pulled the trigger one last time. That's when my body unfroze, and I collapsed to the floor, gasping for air, sobbing uncontrollably. The man knelt beside me and placed a hand on my shoulder, gently. Miss Claire, he said carefully. I know this is a lot to process, but you're not safe here. What your son uncovered, it's not from this world. Story 2. My father left me a set of VHS tapes when he passed away. The footage was disturbing. I was devastated when Dad died. I know it's cliché, but he was the best parent that I could have asked for. Though his health had been declining for a while, and we knew that he didn't have long, it didn't make it any easier. I love my father. I think that's part of what made the VHS tapes so shocking. I was visiting Mom, taking a bit of time off from work to grieve when she revealed them to me. "Jeremy, I need to talk to you," she said, slowly taking a seat at the table. I rushed to help her into her chair, but she waved me off. Despite how bad her arthritis was, she was adamant that she was still just as lithe and nimble as a 19-year-old girl. "Is something wrong?" "It sounds serious," I said once she'd had a chance to adjust herself. Mom's expression seemed bleaker than usual. Grim, even. She hadn't been the same after Dad's passing, but this was something else. Something darker. "Well, not exactly. Your father asked me to do this. He made me promise that if I outlived him, I was to give you these tapes. If it was up to me, I would have thrown them out ages ago. No one needs to know what's on them. But this was his dying wish, and I have to respect that." Mom nodded to a box lying on the kitchen table. I glanced at it, then turned back to her, unsure of what to make of her revelation. Okay. "It's nothing illegal, is it?" "Mom, this is kind of freaking me out." She stared at the table before her, her eyes a contemplating mix of emotions. "I can't say for certain." A gnawing sense of unease began to twist my stomach into knots. "All right, if they're that bad, I'm sure you won't want to watch them with me. Can I borrow your VHS player for a few days? I'll bring it back when I'm done." "Yes, but Jeremy, please know before you watch those tapes that your father was a different man back then. I don't want those videos to change your perception of him." I took a deep breath, considering her words. I can't promise anything without seeing them, but I hope they don't. I didn't watch the VHS tapes for months. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. If they were really that shocking, I didn't know if I ever wanted to see them. Mom didn't bring it up again, but she seemed different after that day. Every time she looked at me, I could see shame hiding beneath her gaze. I felt sorry for her. This wasn't her fault. Now, I don't know how to feel. After half a year, I had completely forgotten about them. The tapes sat on my bookshelf gathering dust, blending in with the fixtures in the room. It was my girlfriend who reminded me that they were even there. "Jay, why do you have a box of VHS tapes? Have you been watching naughty videos behind my back?" She huffed, crossing her arms. "What? No, I haven't even seen those yet. I got them from my dad when he passed." Emma's look of suspicion melted away as her cheeks flushed with color. "I'm so sorry. I wouldn't have brought it up if I'd known. Do you want to watch them together? I know this has been really tough for you, and I want to support you any way that I can." I mulled it over for a moment before making my decision. "Thanks for the offer. I really appreciate you being here for me, but I think this is something that I need to do alone." Emma pursed her lips and nodded before pulling me into a warm embrace. I watched the tapes that night. I decided that I'd been putting it off for long enough. Best to get it over with, right? It took longer than I'd like to admit to get the VHS player set up. It wasn't difficult, but technology and I do not see eye to eye. I took a deep breath as I popped in the first tape, sank into my sofa, and pressed play on the remote. The video began with a pitch-black screen. A faint rustling followed before Dad came into frame, his face too close to the camera. He placed his camcorder down before backing away. "This is trial number 1. Jeremy, if you're watching, then I'm probably not around anymore. I don't think anyone is going to believe this. Hell, I don't even believe it myself. But I think I've caught my big break. If I'm right, then I may have found the cure for death." "That's right," he grinned. "I think I've discovered the compound for immortality." Even through the poor quality, I could see a manic gleam in my father's eyes. This man wasn't the same one who raised me. He couldn't be. Dad worked in medicine, but he had never uttered a peep about any of this. And that expression, I barely recognized him. Dad stepped off screen for a moment, and my heart dropped. Behind him, strapped to an operating table, was a child, me. I was unconscious in my parents' basement, blissfully unaware of what my father was doing. I leaned forward, horrified, yet morbidly curious. Dad walked back into frame, wielding a syringe filled with a liquid blacker than night. It was so dark that it seemed to consume the light surrounding it. Here it is, my magnum opus. If my theory is correct, this compound should have the ability to regenerate cells. In short, it should eliminate the possibility of death by natural causes. Cells will no longer wither away. In other words, the body will not age past maturity. I pray that this works. My heart hammered in my chest as Dad plunged the needle into my arm. Almost immediately afterward, my body began to writhe and convulse on the operating table. Dad's face dropped. He clearly hadn't anticipated that. The convulsions stopped as quickly as they began, much to his relief. But then my eyes shot open. They were completely black. A deep, inhuman cackling erupted from my lips. Dad went pale as a ghost. "Thank you," I said in a voice that was not my own. "You have given me a vessel, foolish human." The table shook violently, my arms and legs flailing in their constraints. I continued to cackle in that disturbing bellow as Dad watched helplessly. "I hope you know what you've done. This child will never be rid of me. Never. I may lie dormant for years, waiting until the time is right. But know that you have sealed his fate." Then, the recording cut off. I stared at the blank screen, unable to comprehend what I had just witnessed. That was impossible. It had to be a skit, or a fabrication. I couldn't accept that what I had just seen was real. I had to know the truth. I ejected the first tape from the VHS player and replaced it with the second. I watched for hours. Every tape afterward was a near replica of the one before it. Instead of trying to find the serum for immortality, Dad was attempting to cure me of my affliction. Each video played out the same way. He would explain what the drug was, why it was supposedly going to work, and my body would writhe on the table. The demon, or whatever ungodly creature that was, would return and mock my father, then the video would end. By the time I reached the last tape, my hope was wearing thin. Dad had failed dozens of times. Countless different injections had no effect in reversing the damage. My breath hitched in my throat as I pressed play on the final video. "Jeremy, I'm sorry. I'm all out of ideas." What began as an experiment born out of love quickly soured into a curse that you have to bear. I never should have tried this. The guilt of my actions is eating me alive. He took a moment to wipe away the tears welling in his eyes. "I don't know what else to do. I've been trying to fix my mistake for 12 years. You're going off to college in a few days, and without you living under my roof, I won't be able to conduct these experiments any longer. I'm sorry, son. I failed you." That was it. The video cut to black, and I was left to sit there and think about what I had just seen. It's been 4 months since then. Over the past week, I've been blacking out. Huge chunks of my day have been disappearing from my memory without a trace. I'm not sure what exactly is going on, but I think it's related to Dad's experiments. I don't know what it wants with me, but I'm terrified, because I think that thing from the tapes has finally awakened. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel Mark Stories.